Hey everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network. Wanted to give my thoughts on the Monday night game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. First of all, I was very wrong about this game for a lot of different reasons that I will get into. First and foremost, let's give credit to the Atlanta Falcons. I left this team for dead. I left Kirk Cousins for dead. They were given an opportunity at the end of this game, given them on a silver platter by the Philadelphia Eagles, and they took it, and they won 22-21 at Philadelphia, a primetime win for Kirk Cousins, which is very, very rare in his NFL career. So credit to them for going on the road and getting a big-time win in a hostile environment. But the meaning of this video and the purpose of it is to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, because we have a problem with the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's the head coach, Nick Sirianni. This guy took this team to a Super Bowl. We remember the opening press conference when he first got hired after they let go of Doug Peterson. This guy looked like a complete and utter idiot, a complete meathead. He's all jacked up, all hyped up, and he has all this bravado. And it's easy to have that when you have a supremely talented roster put together by one of the best executives in football in Howie Roseman. But the way this team lost the Super Bowl to Kansas City, and then they started last season 9-1, they proceeded to finish the season 11-6. So by that match, they won two of their last 7 games. They went 2-5 down the stretch of the season. So to finish 11-6, and then they got absolutely run over by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs. And everybody and their mother would have bet that Nick Sirianni was not coming back. But they decided, Jeffrey Lurie and the organization made the decision to bring him back. They won week 1, and this game against the Atlanta Falcons should have been an easy win. Atlanta did not play well. Atlanta did not score a lot of points. They scored 15 points before that final drive of the game. And yet it took a 17-play drive near the end of this game It took up most of the fourth quarter. So with 6 minutes and 47 seconds to go in this game, they get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. They're up 18-15. And the next drive, the Atlanta Falcons immediately go forward out. They go 4 plays, 9 yards. They can't get a fourth down conversion. So the Eagles, mind you, late in this game, they get the ball with 5.5 minutes to go. And here's what happened. So they get to the 2-minute warning, run out all of Atlanta's timeouts. It is 3rd down and 3, and the Eagles throw a pass. Granted, it should have been complete to Saquon Barkley. That's a separate issue. He should have caught that. But regardless of that situation, with 1 minute and 46 seconds left in this game, at minimum, there is 1 minute left in this football game. So that is a huge blunder on coaching, that you just do not run the ball, especially when you have Saquon Barkley in your backfield. You have Jalen Hurts. You have one of the beefiest offensive line that could push Atlanta forward. And yet somehow they threw the ball in that situation. It should have been complete, and the game should have been over. But why risk that? I don't understand why so many people try to get cute in these situations when there's no timeouts on the clock. And that comes down to coaching. And Nick Sirianni, there's no reason that Atlanta should have been in this game. The Eagles are one of the best rosters constructed in the NFL, and yet I told you the stats. They started the season 9-1. They finished 11-6 plus the playoff loss. So they lost. So they finished 11-7 effectively on the season. This is not difficult, and when you have as talented of a roster as Nick Sirianni has been given, you have to win these types of games. And when that's the glaring issue with the Philadelphia Eagles, the questions have to start being asked. Should he have been fired? I thought he should have been fired last year. I would, honest to God, considering how quick-triggered people are in the NFL already, Bryce Young's already been benched in week 2, why not fire Nick Sirianni? There's no reason that you should lose this standalone televised game, and then your defense doesn't show up at the end of that game, gives up a huge drive to Kirk Cousins at the end of that thing. It has become evident based off the end of last season and based off this loss right here, Nick Sirianni is not a good enough coach to get this Philadelphia Eagles team to where they want to go, which is a Super Bowl. Which is why there is a certain coach that just left his post of nearly 20 years in New England and now is in the media and was looking for a coaching job. Ironically, he was a finalist for the Atlanta Falcons job, and that is Bill Belichick. If I am Jeffrey Lurie and I am the Eagles organization, I am giving Nick Sirianni like maybe half a season. They have an early bye. So that's a good thing for this team. They have a bye in week 5. So we might know really quickly if the Philadelphia Eagles are going to move off of Nick Sirianni. Because here's their next 2 games. They are at New Orleans, and then they are at Tampa Bay. Because technically their first 2 games were technically home contest, or one of them was a neutral, depending on how it was. But yeah, they had Atlanta at home for this one, and then they had the game in Brazil against Green Bay that they were fortunate to win, and they did, and good for them. But they've got New Orleans, who is smoking people right now, back-to-back 40-point games. And then you've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield, who have owned this team in the playoffs last year. So if I'm the organization, honest to God, the Browns play this Eagles team in week 6 off of the bye. We might know if Nick Sirianni is still the coach of this team. I just think, and one of my friends, and I'm going to kind of borrow this from him because it was like the perfect analogy. Nick Sirianni is the Italian coach prime, because this guy has so much bravado, so much, character, and just like so much, he overcompensates for his lack of ability to coach a team and fundamentally lead. Like leadership, I don't even know if I buy him necessarily as a leader. And when you have the difference between him and Coach Prime's got like 2 really two, maybe 3, a few talented players on Colorado, but the rest of that roster stinks. This Eagles team, there's no reason why this team shouldn't win 12 to 13 games. And they were on the way to doing that last year, and they completely fell apart. So what does that tell you going into the season? And then, a nationally televised game at home, you're facing a team that couldn't score in week 1 against the Steelers, and you have all this talent on that roster, and yet you muster up 21 points, and you make a fundamental stupid blunder near the end of this game where you throw the ball on 3rd down. Granted, it should have been completed. I think it's time to really have that conversation. And it should have happened last year. He shouldn't have been brought back. But you've got 2 games, Nick Sirianni, in my eyes. At New Orleans, at Tampa Bay. If this Eagles team is 1-3 going into the bye, I would honestly look hard at firing Nick Sirianni and just, moving off of him. Because, again, to quote my friend Andrew Marks, He gave me this. He is the Italian coach prime. It is literally like the perfect analogy to describe this guy, because all this guy is talk. And it's easy to do that when you have as talented of a football team as the Philadelphia Eagles are. But if you're not going to win games like this, and you're going to drop 6 of your last 8 games down the stretch of the season after starting 9-1, you're just, it's not good enough. It is not good enough. So it mystifies me that the Philadelphia Eagles actually brought this guy back. And it's good that they actually highlighted this, because, again, they were down 15-10 midway through the fourth quarter of this game. They only had 10 points. And they were lucky to score in that situation. They stopped the Falcons almost immediately. They ran a bunch of clock off, and then you have a chance to effectively end the game. Just run the ball. That's not hard, man. So there's definitely a coaching problem in Philadelphia, and it needs to be addressed. And if I were the Eagles, give him 2 weeks. If they don't win, if they go into the bye with 3 straight losses and they're 1-3, I would seriously consider moving off of him. Maybe giving Kellen Moore the rest of the season, seeing what he's made of, and then I would honestly make a heavy run at Bill Belichick to see if he'd want to come back into coaching. Granted, he's in his 70s, but Bill Belichick is not losing these games with that talent on this roster. The reason why it ended really badly in New England is that New England Patriots roster was terrible last year, and it just ended really, really poorly. But Belichick, with this amount of talent on his roster, because Howie Roseman is as good of a roster constructor and a front office guy as there is in the league, it's not for a lack of talent that this team is losing games like this, but totally at the feet of Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff. And just like I said, They need to really think long and hard about their future, because if you can't get to the playoffs, or if you can't, you're not going to win games like this, because that was a playoff type game. Even though I don't think the Falcons are very good, you've got to win these close games. And what close games come down to in the NFL are coaching. And there's been a glaring issue with this team for so long, and it was heightened on Monday night in Philadelphia. So we'll see how that goes. A lot of great content coming out here on the channel throughout the week. Like, share, and subscribe here on the channel. Follow the show channel at OT Mike Sports. We have great wrestling content. Like I said, this channel, perfect blend between sports and sports entertainment. We tackle great topics like this. We tackle Bryce Young. We talk about Browns and Deshaun Watson. You name it, we got it all covered here. Off the Mic 28 if you want to follow me. And thanks again for all the love and support. The fantastic growth in this channel, specifically in the last week, has been awesome. So thanks again. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.